Keeping this facility open is contrary to our values. It undermines our standing in the world. It is viewed as a stain on our broader record of upholding the highest standards of rule of law. As Americans, we pride ourselves on being a beacon to other nations, a model of the rule of law.
You know what, as we welcome in Congressman Mike Pompeo from Kansas, of course, member of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence and member of the House Select Committee on Benghazi. Congressman, and you and I have talked about this before, I can't stomach him telling us who we are and what we are, and everything that makes sense in the fight against terror turns out to be, just a recruiting tool for the terrorists, so we have to end it.
Steve, it's remarkable. He says it's contrary to our values. Well, one of the values of folks in Kansas that I represent is making sure we keep America safe, and that when terrorists try to kill us, we don't return them to countries that are going to let them go kill us again, or we don't bring them back to the United States so that they get lawyers and Miranda rights. Those are the things I find deeply inconsistent with our values, and why on earth he wants to close Guantanamo Bay is beyond me.
Well, two issues here. First of all, I mean, he could just release all the prisoners. He wouldn't. There are some that are really hardcore, I guess, although who knows. But the first is the recidivism rate of the people that have been released. 117 detainees returned to terrorism. That's 18%. So address that first of all.
So I've seen numbers that actually show the numbers closer to 30%, so call it between one-fifth and one-third have returned to the fight, some of them in senior roles. A senior leader in Yemen today is a former Guantanamo Bay detainee. There was a man who was responsible, at least in part, for what happened to the 4 Americans who were killed in Benghazi, who was connected to Guantanamo Bay. This recidivism rate is way too high. The correct rate is 0. If you keep them all there as enemy combatants and hold them lawfully, he somehow said what we're doing is unlawful. If we do this well, we can not only keep them from returning to the battlefield, we can continue to gain intelligence so we can take down the networks that are causing things like we're seeing happen in San Bernardino.
Do you believe that, of course, the Congress isn't going to acquiesce to this request, so he would not rule out an executive order. Do you believe that in the end, on the way out the door, that's what he will issue?
I hope not. It would be unlawful for him to do so. The men and women of our military who he would ask to carry out that mission would have to look very carefully at whether the direction that they were being given was consistent with what their counsel was telling them about what was legal. I hope the president won't put anybody in that position and won't present risk to America, but we've watched a president behave in lawless ways, and so it's why, in spite of the fact that the Attorney General has said it's illegal, in spite of the fact the Secretary of Defense has said it's illegal, in spite of the fact that the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, all his people, have said it's illegal, we are still watching and making sure he understands that we're not going to let that happen.
Are you saying that there's a possibility, remote as it may be, that if there's an executive order that after consultation with whomever, that the military members who would be charged with closing that facility down may not do it, may disobey the order?
I served, Steve, in the military for quite a while, and if there's one thing you understand, it's chain of command and following orders, but there's another duty. When you take an oath to the Constitution and to defend America, your oath is different. It's not to that person who's the company commander when you're a lieutenant or to the general when you're a colonel. Your obligation is beyond that, so it would be an incredibly difficult spot that they would find themselves in. And I just literally pray that no commander-in-chief would ever put his soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines in that kind of position.
So just yes or no, it is possible that they would disobey that order.
I don't know, Steve. It's difficult to answer yes or no.
Okay. All right. Very quickly, 30 seconds. A judge ruled in favor of Judicial Watch yesterday, saying Hillary might have to be called to testify, as well as Uma and Cheryl Mills. That good news?
Good news.
Yeah, and that's the short answer, which I asked for. Hey, Congressman, always great to see you, and thank you for joining us. We'll speak to you again.
Great to be with you today.
Bye-bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, up next, the Malzberg panel with Dr. Tom Borelli and the one and only Adam Thompson. The fireworks will fly, I promise you. Coming up next, right here on the Steve Malzberg Show, only on Newsmax Television.